All right, everyone, get ready because today we are going deep on WireGuard.
Ooh, Wireguard.
Yeah, this is a VPN that is so simple.
Okay.
It's almost like just exchanging SSH keys,
Okay. I see.
but it also has this incredible amount of security that can rival some of the bigger VPNs out there.
Wow.
So to really break this down, we're going to be looking at WireGuard's official documentation and the technical white paper.
Sounds good.
So, one of the things that really stood out to me when I was reading through these documents was just this focus on keeping things simple.
Yeah. I think that's one of the big things that sets WireGuard apart, right? This emphasis on speed, this modern cryptography,
Yeah.
and just this overall design philosophy that is easy to audit.
Yeah.
And I mean, they even go so far as to, contrast it with these older VPN protocols like IPsec and OpenVPN. And they're really making the point that WireGuard has a much leaner code base.
Right. Yeah. I mean, smaller code base, fewer places for bugs to hide.
Exactly. Exactly.
Easier for security experts to actually review.
Yeah, and verify that everything is actually working the way it should be.
Definitely.
It's like looking for a needle in a haystack versus looking for a needle in a shoebox.
Right. Yeah. It makes it so much more manageable.
Exactly.
Okay. So, we're making security less of a black box, which is great for everyone. But how does this actually translate into using WireGuard? What's the user experience like?
Yeah, so one of the really key innovations here is how WireGuard handles traffic within the VPN tunnel.
Okay.
And this is where this concept of crypto key routing comes in.
Crypto key routing.
Yeah.
All right, lay it on me.
So imagine you have this list, right? And this list links each user's public key
Okay.
with the IP addresses that they're allowed to use
Okay.
within the VPN. And so this list acts as both a routing table and an access control list.
Oh, interesting.
So when your computer wants to send a packet through the VPN, WireGuard looks at this list to figure out where to send it. And then on the receiving end, it makes sure that the sender is actually allowed to use that IP address.
So it's kind of like this built-in security guard for the VPN tunnel, like checking IDs and making sure everyone is where they're supposed to be.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, well, that sounds really efficient, but does it make things more complicated for the user to set up?
It's actually the opposite.
Really?
Because crypto key routing
Hmm.
is baking this security directly into the way traffic is handled.
Okay,
You don't have to mess around with these complicated firewall rules.
got it.
So it makes setup much easier for everyday users.
Okay, so secure, simple setup. So far, WireGuard's living up to the hype.
Yeah.
Now, I know that the documents also mention that WireGuard works a lot like a virtual tunnel.
Right.
Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so think of a tunnel as this private pathway for your data.
Okay.
And so WireGuard takes your internet packets and wraps them in this extra layer of encryption. So it's almost like putting them in this super secure envelope.
Ah,
And so this encrypted data then travels through the internet to the VPN server where it's unwrapped and sent on to its final destination.
oh, okay. So anyone who's trying to snoop on your connection only sees the encrypted tunnel, not the actual data inside.
They have no idea what's going on inside that tunnel.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to see why people are so excited about WireGuard.
Yeah. Ticks a lot of the boxes.
Yeah.
Security, speed, simplicity, all in one package.
Absolutely, it seems like it.
And it even gets better
Okay.
because it also handles those annoying moments when your IP address changes, like if you're switching from Wi-Fi to mobile data.
Oh, yeah, I know that can be a huge pain with some VPNs. You have to disconnect and reconnect, sometimes even reconfigure things.
Yeah, it's the pain.
So how does WireGuard handle that? What's the secret sauce there?
Yeah, so it uses this built-in roaming capability.
Okay.
And the way it works is actually pretty clever.
Okay.
So the VPN server keeps track of your current IP address dynamically, and then your device updates its own information
Got it.
based on the data it receives from the server. And this all happens automatically behind the scenes, so you don't have to do anything.
So it's like the VPN is always one step ahead, making sure the connection stays secure no matter where you are or how you're connected.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
It's like magic.
It's like magic, yeah.
But it's not magic, it's just really good engineering.
Yeah, exactly right. So this roaming feature, I mean, that's a game changer for anyone who's constantly on the move, right?
Absolutely. And, this adaptability is another key strength of WireGuard.
Okay.
In fact, this also makes it a great fit for securing containers.
Containers. Okay, for someone who might not be familiar with what those are, can you give us a quick breakdown?
Yeah, so imagine you're packing for a trip, right? And instead of throwing everything randomly into your suitcase, you use these packing cubes
Yeah.
to organize your clothes, your toiletries, your gadgets.
Okay.
Containers are kind of like those packing cubes for software. So they isolate different parts of an application
Got it.
and their dependencies, and this makes them easier to manage and deploy.
Okay.
And so with WireGuard, you can actually create the WireGuard interface in the main network namespace that's kind of like the main compartment of your suitcase,
Okay.
and then move it into a containers namespace, which is like putting it into a specific packing cube.
So it's like adding an extra layer of security around those sensitive parts of the application.
Exactly, exactly.
Wow, WireGuard is pretty versatile.
It really is.
But all this user-friendliness, all this flexibility wouldn't mean much without a solid foundation of security, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's dive into that. Let's get into the cryptographic nuts and bolts here.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, and don't worry, I've got my my metaphorical wrench ready.
Good. Good.
What makes WireGuard security so special?
So WireGuard is really standing on the shoulders of giants here. So it's using these tried and true cryptographic primitives like the Noisike handshake pattern and algorithms like Curve 25519
Yeah.
and Cha-20.
All right, so they're not reinventing the wheel. They're taking the best parts and assembling them into this super secure, high-performance machine.
Exactly.
Gotcha. But what does all this, crypto jargon actually mean for someone who just wants to use a VPN?
Well, the key takeaway here is that WireGuard's design makes it incredibly difficult for an attacker to intercept or tamper with your data.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah, but security is a constantly evolving game, right?
Right.
Hackers are always coming up with new tricks.
Absolutely.
So how does WireGuard stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, how does it do that?
Well, one key concept here is this idea of perfect forward secrecy.
Perfect forward secrecy.
Yeah, so imagine that each communication session has its own unique encryption key
Okay.
that self-destructs after the session is over.
Oh, wow.
So even if someone were to compromise your current key,
Right.
they couldn't go back and decrypt any of your past conversations.
So that's like having a new secret code for every single message.
Exactly. It's like in those spy movies where they burn the message after reading it.
Right, exactly.
And WireGuard is doing that digitally.
Okay, so even if someone managed to break the code for one message, they wouldn't be able to read any of the others.
Exactly. It's a very high level of protection.
Wow. Okay, so WireGuard, state-of-the-art cryptography.
Yeah.
It's got this cool self-destructing key system, and it's designed to be super user-friendly.
Yeah.
What's not to love? But before we get too carried away, I'm sure there are some details we need to dig into a little bit deeper.
Oh, absolutely. There's always more to explore.
Yeah.
There's always more to explore. And one of the things that really stood out to me when I was reading through the white paper was how WireGuard handles something called diffserve.
Diffserve.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to need a little bit of help on that one. What is diffserve?
All right. So imagine you're at a really busy airport,
Okay.
right? You've got passengers just kind of strolling around.
Yep.
And then you've got other passengers who are sprinting to catch their flights. So diffserve is kind of like the airport staff prioritizing those urgent travelers,
Oh, okay.
making sure they get through security, get to their gates on time.
So it's like a fast lane for important internet traffic.
Exactly. Exactly.
Gotcha.
And in the case of WireGuard, diffserve is ensuring that those crucial handshake packets,
Okay.
the ones that establish and maintain the secure connection, they get prioritized
Right.
over regular data packets.
That makes sense. You want to make sure those handshakes go through smoothly so your connection doesn't get interrupted.
Exactly.
But wouldn't prioritizing some traffic mean slowing down other traffic? Like, is there a trade-off there?
Yeah, it is a balancing act for sure.
Right.
But WireGuard is designed to be incredibly efficient.
Okay.
So the impact on regular data transfer is really minimal.
Gotcha.
And plus, it's only prioritizing those initial handshake packets.
Okay.
Once this secure connection is established, all data just flows smoothly.
All right. So WireGuard is prioritizing the important stuff without sacrificing overall performance. That's really clever. But going back to that airport analogy,
Yeah.
wouldn't those urgent travelers stand out? Like, could someone who's snooping on the network actually see what's being prioritized?
That's a great question, and the answer is no.
Okay, good.
So WireGuard is using this specific marking system for those handshake packets that doesn't actually reveal any information about the contents of the data packets.
So it's like putting those urgent travelers in unmarked cars.
Exactly. They get through faster,
Right.
but no one knows who they are or where they're going.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. So it's like having the benefits of prioritization without compromising privacy.
Exactly. You got it.
Awesome. Well, you know me, I'm always looking for the potential downsides.
Right.
I did see that the white paper mentioned some limitations.
Yeah.
So are there any that kind of jump out at you?
Yeah. So one that I think is worth mentioning is WireGuard's reliance on UDP.
Okay, UDP.
Now, UDP is known for being fast and efficient, which is great for a VPN, but it's also kind of like sending a postcard.
Okay.
You put it in the mailbox, you hope it arrives,
Right.
but you don't get any confirmation, you don't get any guarantee that it got there safely.
So there's a chance that some data packets might get lost in transit.
Yeah, there is a chance.
Okay, and wouldn't that be a problem for a VPN, especially if you're dealing with like sensitive information?
It's a valid concern, but WireGuard does have built-in mechanisms to detect and resend lost packets.
Oh, ooh.
So in practice, it's not usually a major issue, but it's definitely something to be aware of.
Gotcha. So while UDP offers speed, there's that trade-off in terms of guaranteed delivery.
Yeah, there's always trade-offs.
Are there any other limitations that we should mention?
So the documentation does acknowledge that WireGuard is still a relatively young technology.
Oh, okay.
So while it's been rigorously tested and reviewed,
Right.
there's always a possibility of undiscovered vulnerabilities.
So it's not a perfect, unbreakable system?
No technology is, but that doesn't mean we should dismiss WireGuard.
Right.
You know, the developers are actively working on improvements, updates,
Sure.
and the fact that it's open source means that a lot of eyes are scrutinizing the code,
Right.
looking for potential issues.
That's good. It's like having a community of security experts constantly testing and refining the software.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of the future, where do you see WireGuard going? Like, could this be the new gold standard for VPNs?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. It is.
It certainly has the potential, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the speed, the security, the ease of use, it's all very appealing.
Absolutely.
Plus, it's lightweight enough to run on just about anything,
Right.
from your laptop to a tiny IoT device.
I can see it being built into, like, everything, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a world where setting up a VPN is as simple as connecting to Wi-Fi.
Exactly. That's the dream.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
But as you said earlier, WireGuard is still relatively new. So what kind of challenges might it face on its path to world domination?
Well, one big hurdle is just the sheer inertia of the tech world, right?
Yeah.
People and companies get used to doing things a certain way,
Right.
even if a better option comes along.
Right. They get stuck in their ways.
And switching VPN protocols for a large organization, I mean, that's a big undertaking.
Absolutely. It's like trying to get everyone to switch from like a QWERTY keyboard to something more efficient.
Yes.
It's like that idea might be great, but the practical hurdles are huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
So WireGuard's success isn't just about its technical merits.
Right.
It needs that strong industry support, clear migration paths for companies,
Sure.
and a robust ecosystem of tools and resources.
So it's not just about building a better mousetrap, it's about convincing everyone to use it.
Exactly.
What else might stand in WireGuard's way?
Well, another factor is standardization. So while WireGuard is gaining momentum, it's not yet an official internet standard. And so this lack of official recognition might make some organizations hesitant to fully adopt it.
That's a good point. Standards do provide like a certain level of reassurance,
Right.
especially for like, big companies or government agencies that need to be extra careful about security and compatibility.
Absolutely.
And of course, we can't forget about like, the constantly evolving threat landscape.
Oh, of course not.
Like what's considered secure today might be vulnerable tomorrow.
Exactly.
So WireGuard's developers, they're going to need to be vigilant about